Yo, yo, what's up, everybody? This is Eric Okunromu, or Eric Okuns for short, and I'm here with my main man, Ricky Spratt.
You gotta forgive me right now because I'm driving, but I told him I'd do this for him. But yeah, just hobby, stay out of trouble, read, work out. It's all good from there.
Man, that's love. Okay, so what we are going to be doing today is doing a chapter 4 dissection of the book Know Thyself by Dr. Na'im Akbar. The title of chapter 4 is How to Study the Self. And essentially the biggest points that I got from this chapter: knowledge of the human nature or genetic makeup of self, understanding more of some of the psychology and social sciences behind just knowing the self. And as I was reading through the chapter, some of the biggest concepts that stood out to me is just our connection between the cosmos. People in ancient history, like ancient Africans, how they studied just like the cosmos and like the stars, and like they were able to derive things like astrology or numerology, and just how we all still just have a connection to just our outer environment. And also just the study of God as well. That's just another big thing that stood out to me from the chapter as well. And just understanding just nature, the laws of nature, and how that is relevant to the laws of ourselves. So I know you don't have the book with you right now, so whatever you can remember offhand from the chapter, what really stood out to you in the chapter?
This is a book you need to look for. It gives you more of like a background of a deeper sense of an enriched culture. You don't understand that we came from all these things. We made all these things. We discovered it. And to understand that you discovered stars, the moon, mathematics, how certain cycles go, understanding of the body, natural healing, not a prescription pill healing. It was kind of empowering, honestly. We came from all this stuff. There's nothing you can't do.
What are you waiting for? Do it! Just do it! Yes, you can! Just do it!
And I was just like, man, I needed to read this when I was younger. It was a beautiful thing to actually see. And then how we spoke about the head of a lion and the body of a sphinx.
Yeah. That was my favorite quote.
I'm saying it right?
Yeah.
Like, I had to actually look that up. I was like, man, let me just get a visual on what this actually is. And it was like just basically controlling your urges and knowing your inner power to be kind of one with not only your area, the universe, the environment, but with yourself. And it was like just overall healing and just natural power. It was a beautiful thing. And I was like, man, I reread it twice. He did his thing in the book. I can't complain.
That reminds me what you said, with just like having that connection between like the mind, body, and spirit, just how all of those things are all intertwined. And yeah, just understanding and learning more about ourselves just through studying our environment or the nature behind those facts. So the first question that I have for you is, in what ways do you like to enhance your self-knowledge pertaining to Black history, heritage, culture, etc.? Like, what avenues would you recommend for people?
I would first recommend, have you ever done like a heritage DNA type thing? I would say do that and know exactly where you come from, what tribe, what region, and just deeply invest time on enriching your life in it. Because when you know your past, it's way easier to see your future. You know where you came from, you know your history, your bloodline, it flows a lot better. And in this book, it gave you a deeper sense of being able to be like, hey, we did come from something. We did do something. We learned something. We invented things that we still use to this day that are very pivotal in this society. And it was very eye-opening to me.
So I'll definitely just say books. I love watching documentaries too, tapping into people, learning a little bit more about their personal experiences. So things like that, I feel like are super helpful with just knowing about yourself. For the next question, what are your views on holistic health, and in what ways do you like to develop and nurture different aspects of yourself?
He really goes into the whole natural healing, being one with your body, understanding your body's reaction to certain things, loving yourself, just in a more unconditional way. So it taught me two things. One, self-health and self-understanding is great.
Oh, yeah.
Two, overall health, from physical activity, from emotional activity, meaning you're in an up state, a positive up energy at all times. You're constantly telling yourself, hey man, you're doing a good job, keep trying. Just getting rid of that negative vibe that you got going on a lot. And it really pushes me to do that more. I mean, I worked out a lot, but you know how you get on yourself. You be like, man, I did 225 this time, but I know I was supposed to do some more weight, and I can't believe I really just didn't get it. And you're really hard on yourself instead of enjoying where you are, being, I guess, in that state of gratitude to be like, hey, I thank you, Lord, that I'm here. I thank you that I'm keep pushing. It was more like a self-conscious thing of knowing exactly what you're putting in and what you're doing. So try to stick to that more.
And just for sure, loving yourself and just having gratitude just for your accomplishments and the things you have done within your life, and just understanding that we have so many different components of ourselves, so we can't, it's really important just for us to like give energy and time and love to all of those different components of ourselves as well. So it can be not even just like intellectually or just reading books, but even physically or spiritually or emotionally. Because if you're always just constantly just working, let's say 50, 60, 70 hours a week,
it takes a toll.
Yeah. Just understanding that holistic health is extremely important. The next question that I have is, what are your views on the study of God versus the study of science? And can you see them being intertwined with each other?
Oh man, that was a biggie.
It's a pretty big question.
God is the creator of all things. He's been present in my life for many years to come. I've depended on him for a lot of things. Science, not so much. Science is a curriculum, a course. That's how I've always viewed science. That's how it was introduced to me. God was never introduced to me as something you go to school for to learn. It was something as the divine creator, the Alpha, the Omega. Now I get how it has somewhat of a correlation, and science tries to give a digestible reasoning for a lot of the things that go around, like life or plants or how things grow, the rotation it is, the cycle of birth. So I'm more so on the side of God being my overall guiding light. Yeah. But I know some Scientology. I mean, I know a lot of people that just have different beliefs and different systems and how they think things came in. And it's to each his own. But I think, honestly, overall, it has no comparison.
Yeah, and I definitely would say I'm right up your alley in certain aspects, because like God is always just going to be at the center of my life and just within everything I do. Sometimes I feel like science can maybe give us a brief general understanding of just like life, like how you're even mentioning with just like the study of plants, biology, this and that. So I feel like maybe that can give us like an understanding of maybe how God works, but I personally feel like we can never truly encompass like how God has done things or just how things have worked out to a T. I feel like we don't operate at that level of knowledge and intelligence. There's always going to be like that understanding or just that knowledge that God is always just going to be like a part of our lives, and like he's always been there from the start and to the finish, and like we are like spiritual creatures. And this is one I just kind of want to throw in there. So how do you feel about this astrology and numerology? Because he was saying like ancient Africans, like they were the pioneers that started that. And it kind of even reminded me of like Harriet Tubman, how he was always looking up at the sky and like studying the North
navigation.
What's your viewpoints on it?
Oh man, so honestly, I think for the time that it was discovered by the Africans, by the Europeans, by sailors, by all who used it, right? It was very beneficial. It was something that was prominent. It was something used for navigation, for understanding the cosmos, for understanding weather changes, understanding human moods and dictating certain things. I got it. But as time got older and certain technologies and inventions replaced our dependency upon it, it became a little bit diluted. Back then, when it was more prominent and used, I think it was groundbreaking. It was the truth. It was how you found your way home. It was always finding the North Star. It was constellations. You knowing what season it's going to be in, at what point the moon is what time it is. I love it from a history buff standpoint. But nowadays, honestly, I don't use it. I used to be very involved when I was younger because I thought that it dictated my life to give me a forward purpose, to be like, oh, they know where I came from. They know what kind of person I am. So whatever they say is going to be true. And you feel like you had a brighter future because of it. Or sometimes a darker future because they were like, well, today is an unsure day. You really don't know. So I'm up in the air about it, but it was very interesting to read and see how he linked it back to African civilizations and how they were the ones who kind of prominently used it and made it more universal. And it was like, oh, okay, see, that's one thing I didn't know. Add it to my box and just keep moving forward.
Yeah, man, I love it. I love that answer, man, for real. Because, I agree with you for sure. I feel like I've done a little bit of research just within astrology and just some of the different signs. And I feel like there definitely can be correlations, but I feel like within the same breath, people shouldn't be using their signs or maybe like the negative aspects of their sign to like dictate who they are completely as a person and like where they stand within this universe. Like if anything, I feel like, you can use it just to maybe learn a little bit more about yourself, like maybe certain tendencies that you may have or that may be pulled out within certain situations. But at the same time, you shouldn't really be using it to like dictate just who you are completely as a person. Do you have like a favorite quote or just like a favorite like saying, or if you can even put together bits and pieces from the chapter?
I think the setup of the chapter was actually good. I like how it broke down the undefined definitions of like self-love. He gave examples of the Sphinx head and controlling your emotions. It was a really good setup and delivery, and it allowed the reader to actually digest it slowly before it just hit you with the boom. We were the creators of this, we were enriched by God. It gave good spin off at the end. So I felt with the chapter itself, it kind of left you wanting more. And the more that it left you wanting was you investigating it, you doing it, you taking some of the information that you learned from it and going back and not only using it, but just letting it kind of be empowered throughout your life. And it was beautiful to me.
I can even read off the quote with the Sphinx head. This knowledge of who we are and our relationship to nature is of the ways that we learn to exercise proper authority over our lives and become like the Sphinx, with the human head sitting in control of the ferocious demands of a body like a lion. Yeah, this chapter is definitely just extremely enlightening, especially when it started even just breaking down like the study of God and how that's always kind of just been intertwined within Africans within our community. So definitely just a really, really good book, man. Like I keep saying in every video, Know Thyself by Dr. Na'im Akbar. Please, y'all, this is such a great book to dive into. So everybody stick around as we're going to break down chapter 5, the last chapter of the book.